The cycle of the fastest motorcycle has changed a lot over the years of GTA 5, and with this game being over 10 years old, there's a lot of years to look at. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the fastest motorcycle of each year in GTA 5's life cycle, beginning all the way back in 2013 when this game first released. The fastest motorcycle was the Baddie 801, and surprisingly today, this is still a very good motorcycle, definitely one of the better ones, and for regular time trials, this is still my go-to. It is one of the, if not my absolute favorite all-arounder motorcycle. You can pull wheelies with it, you can do a bunch of different stunts. For a bike that costs only $15,000, this one is an absolute steal. It's probably the best bang for your buck vehicle in the entire game, and it's such a good deal because every single week you can complete the regular time trial getting over $100,000 from it, when in reality you just spent about $15,000 plus the upgrades on this bike. For that reason, it's really good for money making and just roaming around the map. The Baddie 801 is pretty much a fan favorite by everybody. $15K for a bike that can go up to 135 miles per hour, that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. Moving on to the following year in 2014, finally this game is getting some updates, and in the last team standing update in October of 2014, we got the Shih Tzu Hakiii. And no, I did not cuss right there, that's literally the name, the Shih Tzu Hakiii, the very first version of the Hakiii. It goes on to have a lot of different versions ahead. We'll talk a little bit about those soon. And then jumping into 2016, where the motorcycles class gets a fresh new face, which is not your typical motorcycle. It is the Tron bike that is called the Shitaro. Now, this also came with a brand new game mode, which is actually a lot of fun. If you don't have the $2.5 million to spend on buying the Shitaro, you can actually just try it out inside of a really cool game mode called Deadline. Now, with Deadline, not only do you just get to drive around these awesome motorcycles, but you also leave a trail behind you that if the other person falls into, he automatically blows up and then you get a point for it. So it's a really strategic game mode, probably one of my favorite game modes to play. That's actually a Rockstar created job. And so for the most part, this bike is not made to pull wheelies with. You want to leave that for the Baddie 801 and some more motorcycles we'll talk about. As with the Tron movie, this is just a light up motorcycle. It lights up during nighttime and just any dark place. As with the Tron movie, this is a light up motorcycle in the dark, so it lights up during nighttime. It looks very sick, obviously very clean looking, and definitely the most unique looking motorcycle in the game if you ask me. So I guess that's also a plus, and obviously if it's on this list, it's gonna be pretty fast. Top speed of 131 miles per hour, plus this bike has some crazy good traction as well, so as you're riding it, it almost feels like you're literally stuck to the ground. The Shitaro releasing in 2016 was kind of like a mini revolution in the motorcycles class. That was like the ultimate superior motorcycle once it came out, and following that revolutionary year in 2016, then came 2017, and things got a little weird in this class. This is the year that the Oppressor Mark 1 came out. This is both a rocket boosted and a gliding motorcycle, which is extremely new. We've never seen anything like it. I guess you can argue this is yet another super unique motorcycle. So the Shitaro is technically the most unique looking, but then when it comes to abilities, I would say the Oppressor Mark 1 is the most unique for that. Now, to this day, the Oppressor Mark 1 is one of my favorite vehicles to use in the game, and definitely one of the most fun ones as well. The amount of cool stunts and flips and just a bunch of different tricks you can do with this bike are literally unmatched. No other bike in the game, and no other vehicle for that matter, can do what the Oppressor Mark 2 can do, a gliding vehicle with a rocket boost, and by pressing A or X on PlayStation, you can actually retract the wings of this motorcycle, so if you wanted to, you can actually make it act like a regular bike with just a rocket boost on the back. It's a very sick feature. When this thing first came out, everybody was just gliding around the map. It's actually so much fun. If you ask me, it's much more fun than the next bike we're going to be talking about, which is in the following year of 2018. Now, this is where controversy came into the game. The Oppressor Mark II is the most talked about vehicle in the entirety of GTA 5 Online. There was a huge difference between the Oppressor Mark 1 and the Oppressor Mark II. There's a fine line between what's fun to play and what's pretty overpowered. Now, I'm not necessarily the one that was complaining a ton when it first came into the game. I actually didn't complain at all, but I was just using it because it was super OP and super convenient to fly around the map with, and it still is to this day. What did change about this thing though is that it got its price raised up to $8 million. That's nearly, actually more than double the price of what it used to be. And on top of that, the vehicle itself actually got nerfed too. The tracking on the Oppressor Mark II's missiles are not very very good. There's a lot of other weaponized vehicles that the tracking of their missiles are way more accurate, so not the greatest for missile tracking, or missile accuracy, I should say. Now, since we're talking about the fastest bikes, though, Presso Mark II doesn't have any crazy top speed, but technically, if you're trying to get from point A to point B on the map, it's probably gonna be your best bet. Just because it's a flying bike, it's not even a gliding motorcycle, so you can stay in the air however long you want, and it does have a rocket boost as well. The only difference with the rocket boost is that you don't have to touch the ground for the boost to recharge, unlike the Presso Mark I does. And with a flying bike, you're not going to be crashing into other vehicles, and you don't actually have to turn at every corner. That is the reason I'm including it in the fastest motorcycles in the game, and this is going to be the representative of 2018. In 2019, there really wasn't anything too crazy. I tried finding something, but I guess it just wasn't a big year for motorcycles in GTA Online, so let's jump into 2020 now. In 2020, we have received the Cayo Perico heist, and with that is a lot of off-roading stuff, including the Manchez Scout. The Manchez Scout is a very good off-roading motorcycle. Testing it out in Cayo Perico races, I was really impressed with the performance of this thing. For one thing, it's super easy to pull wheelies with it. It's probably the easiest motorcycle I've ever done wheelies with. It's extremely easy, and not only that, you can actually somewhat turn while doing a wheelie, which you cannot do with a lot of other motorcycles. If you try to do it with a Batty 801, you can't turn while doing a wheelie, but with this one, you kind of can. It's actually a lot of fun to do. I enjoy it, and turning with this thing is also a breeze. Doing like a full 180-degree turn, this thing performs really well, so everything off-road, this thing is an absolute beast. This Manchez Scout and probably the BF400 are my favorite motorcycles to use for off-roading. With that said, let's skip over 2021 and go straight into 2022, which had a lot of different great motorcycles. 2022 was by far the biggest cluster of great motorcycles released only that year. Unfortunately, I have to choose only one, but I'm still gonna mention the other ones because I do think it's worth it. So 2022 was the year that GTA Expanded and Enhanced came out on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, and that kind of changed the game with a lot of vehicle classes because how Special Works was introduced. Certain vehicles were HSW upgradable, and that made them get enhanced performance upgrades, which made them even better than a standard max upgraded vehicle. So then the Hakiii Drag got an HSW version, and that is to this day the fastest motorcycle in the game. It's actually ridiculous. It's super easy to complete the HSW time trials in GTA Online. Easy peasy cake, $252,000 every single time you complete it. It is by no means good for pulling wheelies. I don't even think you can pull a wheelie with it. The other great motorcycles that came out that year that are non-HSW, so let's say you're only on last gen and you still don't even have HSW as a thing on your platform, the Western Reaver came out, the Shinobi, and the Western Power Surge. Out of those three, the fastest is the Western Power Surge, which is actually an electric motorcycle, so it sounds like a spaceship when you ride it around. And for a non-HSW motorcycle, that is your best bet. It has a crazy top speed and some really good acceleration too. Traction on all three of those motorcycles are also amazing, but those are just no match for an HSW upgraded Hakiii Drag. And since that new level of motorcycles in 2022, that is pretty much where we're at. Let me know in those comments, what other type of vehicles would you want me to see make a year-by-year progression on? If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you are new. We're on the road to 200,000 subscribers, so if you do want to help us get there, that would be absolutely awesome. And if you want to see the most fun vehicles, click the video on screen now for it. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.